I want to ask the three of you, or maybe the fourth, she comes back. Looking ahead, what's going to happen in cybersecurity in the next, 1, 3, 5 years? Where are we going? Looking at your crystal ball, Kashina, what do you see happening? What's your prediction for the future?
I see that at the board level, as Chris was just mentioning, right now the board, in a lot of cases, is afraid because of what they read in Google News in the morning, but they're not taking that to the office and asking for detailed reports on what is actually going on inside the business. And so in the survey, the Quinn Street survey, fully half of the respondents said it was not a priority for their company to be preventing cyber attacks, which is just dumb.
It's hard to believe, really. Yeah.
I don't know why they would answer that way, but I hope if we do a similar survey in the future, they won't answer that way, and that IT will be proactive, go to the board, and offer up the information that everyone needs to be aware of so that it can do some serious risk assessment and planning and budgeting. And secondly, I would say there's going to be a lot of attention along the same lines to third-party relationships. There's going to be some trust issues that are going to have to be addressed. Once you're cleaning up your security stance and you feel like you're doing some good work, you're going to want to make sure that everyone you're doing business with is doing the same and isn't just undercutting your efforts.
And you've returned from the planet Mars, which we're glad about, and
E-Planet.
E-Planet. What do you think, looking ahead for the future of security? What do you see happening in the next few years, shaping things?
I do think that people are moving, Chris had alluded to this earlier, that it's becoming much more about offense as well as defense. Mm-hmm. So you're not just trying to keep the bad guys out, you're trying to deploy technologies that will help you catch them when they inevitably get in, and then kind of thwart them from getting all of your data assets. So I think we're going to see a big move toward that. That will be largely through analytics that can help you identify anomalous behavior, and again, sense when they're there and respond quickly.
Mm-hmm. Chris, looking ahead, I know we had talked a little about some of the startups, but maybe guard time. But at any rate, what do you see happening in security in the years ahead?
Okay, macro and micro. Macro level, the government is busily getting companies and thought leaders in the military and startups together to come up with some new ideas. That's got to start somewhere. So it's starting up there, and the White House has been really visible and really active here in Silicon Valley. In fact, the DoD is just opening a new office here in Silicon Valley about security. That's what they want to talk about. So there's going to be a lot more business coming to the Valley because of this. And that's the macro level.
And collaboration, really.
Yes, and they're sharing
collaboration born of desperation, perhaps, but collaboration nonetheless.
Absolutely, and it's better than nothing. So, I mean, companies getting together to share information on the hackers and the bad actors is a good thing. On the micro level, you mentioned the term guard time. This is not really a startup. It's a company that looks like a startup because it's new in the United States. But I'm going to be writing about this soon in eWeek. Guard time is from Eastern Europe, where they know security, and their security is very granular, okay? And so I think that's where security is going. It's going granular. In other words, guard time will look at every document, every file in a store, and if anybody goes in and touches it or moves it slightly, there are notifications that go out to the right people. So if a hacker gets in and starts stealing documents, people are going to be notified immediately in real time, and then the doors can be closed. That's the general aspect of guard time, but there's more to it than that. I think that's going to be a trend going forward, is protecting individual files, encrypted, like Sean was saying earlier, everything's encrypted, notifications going out quickly so that the damage can be kept to a minimum.
Sean, what do you see? You've got a crystal ball. What do you see for security in the next 1, 3, 5 years?
Yeah, crystal ball. Lucky for me, in the next 1 to 3 to 5 years, I see
or 10 years. What the heck?
Yeah, well, we'll talk short term. The next couple of years, I see little changing, which is good for me. It means job security, and no shortage of things to write about, because wonderful companies like the ones that Chris Kachina, Ann, and I get to write about are fantastic. But these are not pervasive technologies. There'll be pockets. Really, what I think has to happen is security needs to be baked in at the protocol level. And at the operating system level, which it really wasn't. When dearly departed Mr. Ritchie designed the C language, it didn't have type-safe memory. Just one example. So when I write about security vulnerabilities, 100 out of 101 are use-after-free memory vulnerabilities, and that's a functional flaw in the C programming language, which is still the root of just about every program you and I use.
Now, say the type of vulnerability again, because I was pretty fast.
Use-after-free. Or UAF. Use-after-free memory vulnerabilities are pervasive, and it's a functional flaw in C, and that's just how it is. They're increasingly difficult to find. Long story short is we're using Google today, Google Hangouts. It registers, it gets access to memory on your operating system. Hacker X wants to use that memory, so when Google stops on your machine for a fraction of a second, it's still using that piece of memory. The attack code uses that same piece of memory. The machine thinks it's Google, it's not Google, and then bad things happen. That's a pivot. It's a little bit more complicated than that. I'm oversimplifying it, but these things happen. I know Chris talked about Jeff Moss, founder of DEF CON and Black Hat, great guy. One of my favorite things at DEF CON every year is the Wall of Sheep, and it never ceases to amaze me, and I've been going to DEF CON for 20 years. You go to the Wall of Sheep, and you'll see sheep. These are people who were authenticating on a hacker network. They're going to a security conference without using SSL security. And the reason why that happens is because security is not baked in by default. We should have HTTPS, that's SSL, TLS, secure transport, everywhere for all sites. That includes our own sites, eWeek, Datamation, Security Planet. I'm sure we'll head that direction eventually. At the protocol layer, HTTP2, which is the next generation of HTTP, will take at least 5 years till it's pervasive, but that has protections. At the operating system level, Mac OS X continues to get better. I'm a big Linux user. That continues to get better. But Windows 10 is a massive leap forward for security. So my opinion is these things need to get baked in at the standards and at the operating system level. So it's wonderful that there's all these add-on ecosystem vendors and players, but that security is no longer bolted on as an afterthought, but rather is a foundational component of computing from the source code on up.
You do see Windows 10 as a big step forward, huh?
I do, and I'll tell you why. Because the memory protections, I know I talked about memory protections. In Windows 7 and 8, they have these things called, ASLR, Address Space Layout Randomization. And in Windows 7, they introduced Advanced DEP, Data Execution Protection. In Windows 10, they've pulled in things from Emmet. Emmet is Microsoft's Enhanced Memory Enhanced Toolkits, EMET, you look it up, which... This is also amazing. Whenever I write about a Microsoft exploit, I'll contact Microsoft and they'll say, oh yeah, we've got a pitch coming, but you can just run Emmet and you're safe. So what they're doing with Windows 10 is smart people there have figured out how to back some of that stuff from Emmet into the mainline operating system. So some of these memory safety features are better. The other thing that they're doing better is some of the user access controls and the like, and that's happening also on Windows Server. Because what happens is in almost every attack that I see, there's a privilege escalation. So if I hacked into your account, James, I should not get entire access to everything that you're connected to. I'd have to elevate my privileges. So the new versions of Active Directory have wonderful access controls to improve that. So they're making steps in the right direction. They know what they have to do. It's a process, and it's going to take many years.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're thinking, very hypothetically, Sean, I know this is a side issue you're an expert on. What happened with the Starship Enterprise? Why was that hacked so many times? And isn't it applicable to market? We need to get to the bottom of this.
All right, I got to give everybody my little prop here. This is my little Scotty. It's not Scotty's fault, okay? Don't blame the engineers. Engineers are doing the right thing.
Right.
But I'll tell you my favorite example, because we like to think, okay, the Starship Enterprise was hacked by the Borg, it was hacked by the Klingons, etc.
Bad films.
Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, the greatest movie of all time. Khan and the USS Reliant is coming up on Kirk's Enterprise, about to blow it into oblivion. And what does Kirk get? He gets the prefix codes for the Reliant. What are prefix codes? Backdoor. So the Starfleet, in their infinite wisdom, had backdoor codes for every single Starfleet vessel, and by that backdoor code, they're able to hack into the Reliant, lower the shield, and Kirk survives. So Star Trek shows us that the Enterprise itself can be hacked, but Starfleet itself put backdoors on all of its ships. So really, it works both ways. In Star Trek 2, it shows us, well, having that backdoor was helpful for Kirk, not so helpful for Khan. But it happens, and it's just a functional equivalent. And even, I know we're talking about security in 3 to 5 years. Star Trek, let's say, is 300 years in the future.
Right.
Just goes to show us that if Star Trek is a vision of our future, 300 years from now, we can still look forward to hackers infiltrating our systems. And if I'm still alive, more job security for me.
That's a lot to think about. Very good. All right, great. I really appreciate the four of you, your expertise. I'll send you the link. We can all tweet about it. And thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks, James.